Today we'll be learning how to create this particular logo animation. The techniques used can be used for any image, and they also have applications in various other situations. So there's actually a lot to learn, and so it's best we just start the tutorial. In our default scene, we'll bring our cursor to the junction of these two windows, click and drag to create a new window, and we'll change this from the 3D viewport to the geometry node editor. Then we'll press this plus button to create a new geometry node tree, after which we'll zoom in, select the group input, and tap X to delete the default cube. Now we need some sort of a plane on which we will project our image. So let's add in the plane by searching for a grid node and plugging that into the group output. Now we want to scale this up according to the image, so we'll deal with that in a second. But before that, we actually need the image to appear so that we can see what we're doing. For that, we'll first capture an attribute for every single one of these points according to an image. So let's search for an image texture, and we'll open up whichever image you want to use. I'm going to use the Blender logo because it is fairly rectangular and it'll help show how you can switch between any aspect ratioed image. So click this open and search for your image. Once you have it open, you have to store the color for every single point here. Let's actually increase the number of vertices for now. Let's make it something like 100 on both the X and the Y, and then store a named attribute. Let's plug that in here and use this color as the value, but you see the value is a gray dot because we're currently storing floating point values. So let's switch this to color, and that way we can plug this in here and give it a specific name. So let's call this image C for color. So now that we have this, let's set the material here by pressing Shift A and searching for a set material node, plugging that in right here and actually choosing the default material. Now let's just click and drag from the junction of these two windows and switch this to the shader editor. Let's hide these panels by tapping N so that we get some more space to work with. And if you scroll right here, you can see that we have the default material already because this is the default cube and the material is set up like this. Let's press Shift A and search for an attribute node, and then simply take this color from the attribute and plug it into the emission. Now the actual name of the attribute is this name over here, which is image color or image C. Once we do that, to actually see this change occur over here, we have to switch our viewport shading to render. And now you can see how we do have the Blender logo present over here, but clearly it's being stretched and positioned incorrectly. So let's fix that very fast. First, we need to change the size of the grid according to the actual texture. So let's press Shift A and search for an image info node, which will allow us to get the width and height of any image that we give. So let's open up the same image and then divide the width by the height to get the aspect ratio. Let's search for a math node, plug the width in here and the height in here, and switch this from add to divide. Now this aspect ratio has to be used to set the scale on the X and the Y. Let's use another value by searching for a value node, which will control the scale. Let's rename this by right clicking and choosing rename and calling it scale. And let's multiply this scale with the aspect ratio and plug that into the X, and we'll plug the scale directly into the Y. So let's press Shift A and search for a math node, switch it from add to multiply. Let's multiply the aspect ratio with whatever scale we want and plug that into the X, and let's plug the scale directly into the Y and now give it some actual scale. Let's say 5 units, and that way you can see that we have the entire grid or plane that we created scaled up to the correct proportions. We can reduce the scale and we can increase the scale, but the aspect ratio will remain perfect. So let's keep it at maybe a scale of 4. Now we can simply take this UV map and plug that into the vector of the image texture to get this logo set correctly. However, if we still look at this very closely, it's clearly pixelated, which means we need to increase the number of vertices as well. Apart from that, although it's very hard to tell just like this, but each face that's created or each block is actually not square, but is rectangular in shape according to this aspect ratio. And that's because the number of vertices is same, which means we have square vertices, but they're being scaled up by different amounts. So we need to make sure that the number of vertices also scale by this aspect ratio. So let's duplicate this math node and duplicate this value node, and this time we'll rename this to resolution and we'll give it some high resolution. Let's go with 300 and plug that in directly to the Y and multiply this same resolution value with this aspect ratio over here and plug this into the X. That way each square is going to be perfectly square when we actually split them and move them around. So let's now start distorting this geometry even more. To distort the geometry, the first thing that I would want to do is actually move them up and down. For that, we can use a set position node and we can plug that in right here, and we can use a combine XYZ node so that we get access to just the Z location. So let's plug this in here and we can use a random value for this Z location. However, there's a problem with just using a random value, and that's because the set position is going to move every individual vertex separately. So if we plug this into the Z, you can see how we don't get planes moving, but we get each point moving separately. So the first thing that we have to do is get each face to be moved by a specific amount. For that, we first have to split out the faces so that they can move independent of each other. That's very simple by just searching for a split edges node and plugging that in here so that each face is separate and can be moved. However, each vertex is still being moved by a different random value. So to fix that, we have to first capture an attribute for each face. So let's plug that in here. We're going to capture the index. So we're going to change this from float to integer because the indices are integers, and we're going to store the index for every face. So now that we have this at integer and this at face, we can press Shift A and search for an index node. Now when we plug this index right in here, we have one value for each face, and we can use this as the ID for this random value. So when we plug this in here, each face will see only one single value, and that's why each face comes out individually like this. Now if we just switch off overlays, you can see what it looks like, and that looks pretty good. Let's just remove the default light for now so that we can see it even better, and that looks great. Now we can increase the height on the Z by just increasing this max value, and you can see how it just stretches along and we get this sort of an effect. Now there are many things that you could do with this, like put the camera at some angle like this and just have it move through this entire field, or you could have it zoom in and slowly zoom out like that until it encapsulates the entire logo. But essentially this is the base setup. You can animate this value to go from this high value to a value of 0 once we hit the final position so that we get a clear version of our logo. If you want to decrease the resolution, you can always change it over here, and that way it might be a bit pixelated, but it'll be much faster to preview, and each plane will also be much larger. Once you're happy with this, we can set up the scene by going to our world properties and changing the background all the way to black. Then we'll go to our actual shader editor and just increase the emission strength to something like 5. To get some nice bloom, we'll go to our render properties and switch on bloom. Along with that, we'll switch on screen space reflections, and for the rest of the planes, we'll make it completely metallic and we'll increase the roughness to 1 as well. You can definitely keep different roughness values to get different amounts of reflections onto the other planes, but it depends on whether you have another plane behind it as well to create reflections and how that looks for you. So I've just added in a plane behind it. I'll add in a new material. I'll make that one also metallic, and I'll reduce that one's roughness a bit as well. If you have planes or walls on the sides, they might also add into the reflections of these particles. So I'd suggest just playing around with this to see what works. Just to show how modular this is, now we can switch this over to any other image with a different aspect ratio. Let's use the Instagram logo, which has an aspect ratio of 1:1. So let's just go here and open up the logo. And once you've opened it there, go back to this image texture and open up the same logo. And that way you get the Instagram logo just as is. Now let's say your background is white, but you actually wanted this to either be black or transparent. You can press Shift A and search for a color ramp node, plug this color right in here and just flip it like that, and now we'll plug this into the alpha. Then we can slowly bring this in until everything except those outer white lines are actually visible. So something like that looks good, and now you can just finish off the animation. For that, let's select the camera and set our animation defaults by going to the output properties, changing the frame rate to 30 frames per second. We'll change the end frame to 150 so that it's a 5-second long animation. Output folder can be wherever you want it to be. File format, I'm going to choose FFmpeg video, and in coding, I'm going to change the container to MPEG-4, and output quality, I'm going to choose perceptually lossless. Now I'm going to select the camera and press Alt G to clear location, Alt R to clear rotation, and then I'll press 0 to go into my camera view. Now I'll expand this by a bit and I'll press back to go to frame 0, and there I'll press I, location. Of course, I could do location, rotation, and scale if I want to have some other rotations or scaling as well, but this should be fine for now. Then maybe by frame 120, I'll press GZ and just drag it back until everything fits right into my camera, just like that. And then I'll press I, location, rotation, scale. Now let's say from frame 105 till 125, I'll have this change its scaling on the z-axis by selecting it, going to the random value in the geometry node editor, and then hovering over the max value and tapping I on frame 105. And then by frame 135, I'll change this max down to 0, and then I'll tap I. Now I also want to increase the resolution, so let's just change this resolution from 150 to 300. So it's super smooth, and I don't want those white borders at all. So just play around with this color ramp. Once you're happy with the way everything's looking, you can go ahead and press render animation. I hope that was a quick one and a fun one with updated techniques of how you can actually get whichever resolution you want for the different images in a much faster method than how I did it in previous videos. I post videos every single day, so I'm sure there's a lot of content that's just waiting for you to discover, and there's definitely something or the other for you to learn. Until my next video comes out tomorrow, thank you so much for watching, keep creating, and don't forget to stay creative.